Welcome to Ben on Breaking News. I'm Ben Meiselas, and this is your breaking news right now as we're live. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is on Capitol Hill speaking before the United States Senate. He's saying the $1.5 trillion package that the Trump regime is demanding to further this catastrophic and unlawful war is not only necessary, but Hegseth is saying if we do not get that money immediately, it will be, quote, the greatest threat our nation has ever faced. The greatest threat our nation has ever faced. Let me just show you what he said moments ago. Let's play it.
We know what that means, that means 1.5 trillion. Given the world that we live in and the disaster of what the Biden administration budgets gave us, not funding this department at 1.5 trillion, I believe, is the greatest threat that our nation faces. Either we invest in our warriors at this moment of step change on the battlefield and growing threats, or this is all just talk.
Okay, so you all bankrupted our Defense Department. You've run out of munitions. Our strategic petroleum reserves have been depleted. You've bankrupted it all. When you had $1.1 trillion last year, and now you want $1.5 trillion. You want more money right now, essentially on an emergency basis. And because you've bankrupted our military, you got us involved with Netanyahu in this catastrophic and unlawful war in Iran, where Iran is blowing up U.S. bases each and every day while you all pretend they have no capabilities. That's what you're saying is the greatest threat to our nation? While the Trump regime covers up what's actually happening at our bases in the Middle East, we actually have our troops are sending photos and videos to their family members. Why? Because they are targets for Iran right now. While the U.S. is moving the military equipment, while the U.S. is evacuating the bases, not of the people, not of the warriors, but the equipment which is getting systematically destroyed by Iran, moving it to Israel. Why? Because the Iron Dome over there, the Trump regime views as still working. But the security umbrella in the Middle East for all of those Arab nations that thought when they were doing those quid pro quo deals with Donald Trump that they were going to get the security umbrella as well. Nope. Donald Trump didn't even tell you when he was going to invade back in February with Netanyahu. Yeah, your quid pro quo gifts and money to Trump and his crypto to Kushner, you didn't even get notice of it. And guess what? You didn't get either. The effective Iron Dome system, which you were told you were going to get with Trump for your countries. And so now, every evening after CENTCOM announces, we are beginning strikes. And then CENTCOM thereafter says, we finish strikes, as though it's some episode of dystopian Apprentice. Iran says, okay, thanks for letting us know the episode is over. So now what we're going to do is do precise strikes at early warning systems, radar. Occasionally, we have to show that we can hit the barracks, those containerized barracks. Basically, our service members in the Middle East, they live in like those containers that you see on container ships, on those big tankers, cargo ships that you see on the back of trucks, right? That's where our service members basically live, in containerized barrack units, prefab, right? And so Iran's like, okay, we're going to trust. If they wanted to kill more people, they could. They know if they keep on escalating, though, and killing more people, that may rally some support against them. So they strike when they are going to send a message. But guess what? Didn't really exist when they were striking Jordan anymore. Those early warning detections, which tell the PAC-3, those Patriot interceptors, those THAADs, right, ain't working. Guess what also wasn't really working? The interceptors. Iran's ballistics are able to evade the interceptors, and our munitions, as everybody's been warning, and as more and more anonymous top military officials keep leaking out to the press, are gone. We've depleted our munitions. Hence, Hegseth on Capitol Hill begging for $1.5 trillion right now. And Iran is just saying, okay, we'll strike Jordan, this base, that base, this base, that base. Faisal, we'll do this base, that base. They'll then strike Kuwait, this base, that base. Al Udeid in Qatar, base in Saudi Arabia. A special forces area in Syria, technically the Syrian-Jordan border, which CENTCOM said there was no strikes in the region. Yes, there was. There was. It was a special forces depot in the area that Iran was able to strike. And so what Iran's figured out is that Israel's Iron Dome isn't just in Israel, that the way this whole thing was constructed, the pawns, right? You think about the pawns, are the Arab nations who became the shield to Israel. Israel then has the Golden Dome, but these early detection stuff is because the view was all of these early detections could help Israel get ready with its Iron Dome in order to stop the Iranian ballistic missiles and Shaheeds. So the first line, go look at the map, are these Arab nations. So the strategy that Iran is pursuing, and they ain't even sending over massive amounts of ballistics. No. Iran has adapted its strategy. They're like, why would we do hundreds at a time? That's not helpful. So instead, they do 8 to 12 at different bases. At this point, the interceptors by the U.S. only have about a 20% to 30% effective rate. Contrast that with Ukraine, where Zelensky has about a 90 to 95% interception rate. I don't know, maybe you could have learned a thing or two from Zelensky there while Donald was attacking Zelensky and being the Putin bootlicker that he is. And Iran systematically striking this base, that base, that base. And Iran has prepped its own field for when it wants to do the barrage. If the U.S. were to attack Pickaxe Mountain, if the U.S. were to do a ground invasion of Keshem, if the U.S. were to attack additional nuclear facilities in Iran, Iran now has destroyed the early detection stuff, the radars and all of these things to be able to effectively strike. That's what they're doing. That's their strategy. And by the way, you don't have to be a military strategist to see where they're striking. It's actually as obvious in many ways as saying that painting the reflecting pool blue is not going to change the situation of algae. Except this time, the consequences are far graver than painting it blue and then seeing the algae infestation take place within days. But just like Donald Trump during COVID, like a miracle, it's all going to go away. I give myself an A. It's going great. They want to make a deal, the greatest deal ever. I'm going to keep on bombing them until the deal's the best, but they're begging me right now, which we know is all false. Same way when he says I brought in $19 trillion, we know that is all false, all lies, right? Same thing like a miracle, it's all going to go away. Iran's destroyed, their military is degraded, but we need $1.5 trillion immediately because otherwise we face the gravest threat ever in history right there. You see this meme that Salty from our team did right here. The Trump administration doesn't even ask you for $1.5 trillion anymore. They just look at you like this over there. Now, let me share with you when you had Democratic Senator Dick Durbin asked Hegseth, pretty basic question. So it's my understanding that you want $1.5 trillion, but you have an emergency supplemental for $87.6 billion that you need like immediately. 1.5 trillion, you say that's what you now need for the year, but you say there's this urgent emergency for $87.6 billion now. Well, don't you still have $75 billion in unobligated funding from last year's reconciliation package? You still have $75 billion unobligated, meaning you can obligate it to this. The purpose of it being unobligated was if there was an emergency situation to arise. So either you are even lying more than we expect about how dire and bankrupt you all are, and that this $75 billion in unobligated funds doesn't exist anymore, or it actually exists, but who knows? Maybe it really doesn't exist anymore, or it does exist, and now you're just demanding another $87 billion because you want to escalate this thing that much more. Watch when Durbin asks this question. Let's play it.
Mr. Secretary, I'd like to ask you to help me reconcile some numbers. It's my understanding that this whole supplemental funding request is $87.6 billion, and most of the funding, $67 billion, is for the Department of Defense. Yet we are told the Department of Defense still has $75 billion in unobligated funding from last year's reconciliation package. Is that true?
Roughly correct numbers, yes.
So you've left some change on the dresser before you prepared to come for this hearing. What's going to happen to that $75 billion?
Well, that 75 there's plans and designs on that, part of the rebuild of our military, which had to be undertaken. And so the One Big Beautiful Bill gave us specific avenues. I'd have to get you the exact numbers of what that is left to be allocated.
Does it have to do with the war in Iran?
No, this is rebuilding our military from what was not funded in the past under the Biden administration. So this is from 2026, One Big Beautiful Bill, which helped move the president's priorities like Golden Dome for America, move away from all the woke priorities of what the Biden administration was pursuing, give us a chance to start cutting these deals on munitions, all the things that the president wanted us to focus on: shipbuilding, hypersonics. I mean, the Biden administration ignored hypersonics. They just decided to pretend like that technology didn't exist and we shouldn't invest in it. There are things. I don't know what Lloyd Austin did for 4 years. I really don't.
Well, I'm sure
the amount of neglect, the amount of stale thinking and bureaucracy, it was staggering when we took over. So One Big Beautiful Bill gave us a chance to get caught back up. Let me interrupt your speech for a minute.
By the way, a very obvious tactic of liars, right? So you're asked a very basic question, and what do liars do? They immediately go to another topic. I don't even know what Biden's doing. Lloyd Austin, Let me get my Fox soundbite. Let me get my Fox soundbite. It's Biden's fault. It's Biden's fault. You have, from that disastrous budget bill where you cut Medicaid and you cut healthcare and you took away rural hospitals and you took away things that the American people rely on to live, you put it trillions of dollars to make people die. People live in the US, you said no good. People die abroad, you said yes, that's how we want to spend it. Let's spend it on killing people and engaging in war crimes and blowing up elementary schools with little girls in them in Iran. Let's help Netanyahu further commit genocide. Let's help him in Lebanon commit genocide. Those are the funding priorities of the United States. Let the American people suffer, take things away. That's the Trump regime agenda. And then you say your focus was on ships. Ships was your focus. That's your big point. What ships? I seem to not recall the big ship that's out there right now. I do recall press conferences where Donald Trump talked about wanting a Donald Trump ship, the Trump class ships, that he said he liked the ships from World War I. He liked them big, clunky. He doesn't like the aircraft carriers or stealth, he said. He likes the World War I. Is that what you're talking about? And also, don't you think, if you've studied warfare right now, the lesson maybe isn't, let's build billion-dollar ships. Let's build more billion-dollar planes. Don't you think the most basic lesson is invest in drones? By the way, I don't want any of this war. I want peace. I'm not a warmonger. I just want to be very clear with all of you. I think you know that, but I don't want to seem like I'm encouraging deadly weapons versus healthcare. What I'm simply making is the observation of, if you studied modern warfare, if you studied Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Ukraine's defense, if you've studied how Iran has been effective in fighting back, and you don't pretend that the US won when we didn't win against Iran, if you've studied the way warfare is actually being done right now, you would say, got it. It's FPV drones, it's unmanned submersives, it is the Shahid style drone. The US has built a version of that. It is drone interceptors. It is making your ballistic interceptors cheaper, because it's not sustainable that each Patriot interceptor is $4 million. That's the lesson of all of this. Not we need to build ships called Donald Trump. Okay. And so even if you take what he's saying, it is completely divorced from modern warfare right now. And so then you had Senator Murray cross-examining Hegseth, and she says, you urged Iran to let innocent ships pass freely, but then Donald Trump said that he wants to do a 20% toll. Why do you do that? Why do you need our money if you say we're doing tolls now? And aren't you against tolls? Here, let's play this clip.
You also said at that same press conference, and I'm going to quote you, you urged Iran to, quote, let innocent ships pass freely. These international waters belong to all nations, not to Iran to tax, toll, or control. Last week, President Trump said the U.S. would charge a 20% toll to each ship to pass through the state. So based on your opposition to tolls, did you talk to the president out of that idea, or did someone else?
Iran's not charging tolls, and they're shooting at ships right now.
But Trump said that he wanted to charge a 20% toll.
We have a blockade right now of all Iranian ships and Iranian ports, and it's effective.
My time is out.
Okay, Iran is charging certain insurance fee, much less than 20%. And when the MOU was in effect for, technically Trump started breaching at the moment he held it up in Versailles, but there were ships that were leaving. A lot of the ships were coordinating with the IRGC, and there was a nominal, almost symbolic type of fee because the U.S. lost the war in the first salvo of it, although it's still been going on, and the ships were able to get out of the Strait of Hormuz, no problem. Then, even though the MOU said that Iran is the administrator of the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S., without consulting with Iran, said, aha, we got you. We tricked you. We never said that we can't create our own lane by Oman. So even though we couldn't achieve that during the war itself, and you locked down the Strait of Hormuz, gotcha. You should have put that in the agreement. And then Iran's like, well, when we administrate it, we thought that that's kind of covered it. But okay, if you want to do this without consultation with us, then we're going to strike those ships. And that's what happened. Around the ships can go this way. And then Donald Trump says, I am the guardian of Hormuz. It is me, the guardian of Hormuz. And it's like, are you deranged maniac? What do you mean you're the guardian of Hormuz? What the hell does it, what does that even mean? 20%. And then Senator Murray asked Hegseth another basic question. On May 5th, you claimed that Iran, she says, on April 8th, you said their missile program is destroyed. Launchers, productions, gone. You said that they're begging for mercy. That's what you said on April 8th. It's July 21. Here, play this clip.
Americans, I've had a lot of trouble following this administration's contradictory statements about the war. On April 8th, you said, and I quote, "Their missile program is functionally destroyed, launchers, production facilities, and existing stockpiles depleted and decimated and almost completely ineffective." Mr. Secretary, Iran has been firing at U.S. military bases in the region and its ships for the last week. How is it possible, if their capabilities were, quote, functionally destroyed 3 months earlier, as she claimed, for them to be doing this now?
Well, Senator, Iran is at the weakest point militarily it has ever been in the past decade. Certainly, maybe in 47 years, as they've gathered effectively a terror army. And that terror army was built to try to create conventional capabilities to defend against a pursuit of nuclear weapons, which meant thousands of ballistic missiles, many of which we have destroyed, others of which they have put inside facilities and hidden in underground facilities. Well, that's what terror regimes would do. So I acknowledge they still have capabilities, no doubt. But the amount of damage that we've done to them over the course of these series of operations has put them in the worst place they've ever been.
Okay, well, let me move on.
Oh, wow. They certainly, it's this, like a miracle, it's all going to go away. COVID gets killed with the heat. I give myself an A. We've never been better with pandemics than we were with COVID. It's all good. We brought in $19 trillion, everybody. Things are amazing. There's a manufacturing boom. Housing is affordable right now. Walmart is doing a sale, everybody, on beef. That means that beef is lower priced across the country right now. Everything is amazing, everybody. Oh, and by the way, did you see the gas prices at the Freedom Centers over there? There are 12 gas stations in Pennsylvania that Trump's oligarchs are subsidizing for $3.47 because 47 is the number of the president, which is more expensive than it was last year. But we're going to extrapolate that to say gas prices are down, despite the fact that the price of crude right now is over $91 a barrel. And most Americans on average are paying over $4. And in many states, it's about $6 a gallon right now. But folks, everything is going amazing. They're so weak. They're begging. All of those strikes that you see every night hitting our bases with their precise ballistic missiles, that just shows you how weak they are, right, everybody? The fact that we said we were going to end this war in days, then we said 4 to 5 weeks because they were just begging and begging and begging. Yeah, their weakness is part of the plan. We just wanted to drag it out for 5 more months so we can show, look, everybody, look how weak it is. We just like going to war for 5 months, apparently. And you know how every time new tankers try to move through the Strait of Hormuz and they get shot by Iran and struck and they have to be abandoned by the crew because they're hit. Oh, that's part of the whole, that's part of everything. We want that to happen. Oh, and you see how the Bab el-Mandab Strait right now is the Houthis are effectively shutting down the Bab el-Mandab Strait with Saudi tankers. All part of the plan, all part of the plan. That's weakness, man. That's weakness, man. Hit me with another testosterone shot, bro. We're going to bro out with some testosterone, everybody. Yeah, you want one? You want a little testosterone shot? Oh, this is some manly shit right here, right? Oh, yeah, they're so weak. You know, they're hitting Amazon data center facilities. Give me another testosterone shot. I'll show you how freaking manly I am. Yeah, America, dude, what are you talking about? And the blaming of the Biden, the this and the that, seriously, shut up. This isn't a Democratic position, a Republican or independent position. Evaluate what's happening right now. It's obvious what is happening right now. That is, the U.S. has depleted its munitions, okay? Iran has not depleted it. Iran has its capabilities. No one's doubting that the U.S. has lots of weapons and that the U.S. may still be, by the volume of weaponry and the types of technological innovation, the most powerful military out there. I'm not sure if it is vis-a-vis, relative to China right now. with us focusing on the Trump class ships while they focused on drones and other things like that. But, but okay, it's a debate for another day. But we certainly again, we shouldn't be in this war to begin with, but tactically, if you think that Iran is the worst in 10 years and you're going from an assumption that you just bomb Iran more and that makes them want to do a deal, WTF. WTF is why I call the book WTF America. Scan the QR code, wherever the QR code is. Pre-order it now. This WTF America, it's a rallying call. It ain't about Democrats or Republicans or independents, or it's about what the F is happening. What the F is that? Seriously, what the F is happening? We need to get back to normalcy. We need to get back to an objective reality. It is disgusting that we have our troops as sitting ducks in the Middle East while our equipment now is going to Israel, while the Trump regime covers this all up. It's disgusting while Trump said, oh, we did a deal, the greatest deal ever. What the F? Seriously, what the F? I'm going to promote the book. There's some people, it's not promoting. I'm going to promote it. I dedicated to you. I've spent a lot of time writing it. It is something I'm very passionate about, to get everything me and my brothers have ever thought in a book like this. So I'm going to promote it. If you can pre-order it now, it helps. The pre-orders help more than waiting until October. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Look, if you're in this community, you're paying attention. You know what's happening, and a lot of what's happening, it's directly affecting your Medicare. Plans are being discontinued, premiums are going up, and the broker you might have talked to probably pushing Medicare Advantage plans even if they aren't right for you. That's why I want you to know about Chapter. They're the only advisors who compare every Medicare plan in the country. Thousands of people from this community have already used them. One viewer, Kevin in Florida, is saving $2,100 a year. Another, Steven, finally has a plan that covers his dialysis. And for the Midas Mighty, a call with Chapter is free and takes just 20 minutes. So if you're on the right plan, they'll tell you. And if not, they'll help you find a plan that fits your needs. I want you to know that we've gotten such incredible feedback from the Midas Mighty about Chapter. Frankly, it is overwhelming, the positivity that is out there for Chapter. And so I'm so glad to be affiliated with it. I'm so glad you're all having great experiences. So call 82 Medicare today to speak with Chapter. That is 82 Medicare, and feel confident in your Medicare coverage.
One thing I've definitely noticed as I've gotten older is that you wake up one day, look in the mirror and think, what's going on? Why do I look like this? Your skin just doesn't look as healthy as it used to. Maybe you've got more dark spots from the years in the sun. Maybe your skin looks rougher, less even, or just older than you feel. That's what led me to GIYU. That's spelled J-I-Y-U. What I like is that they make skincare incredibly simple. No 10-step routine, no spending 20 minutes in the bathroom. They're best known for their rejuvenation toner pads. These aren't your ordinary toner pads. Think of them as more like an entire Korean skincare routine packed into a single swipe. It takes about 10 seconds, which is about the maximum amount of effort that I'm willing to put into skincare. Wipe your face and move on with your day. I've been using them and I've genuinely noticed my skin looks healthier, smoother, and less tired. It just looks more refreshed. And that's exactly what I was hoping for. GIYU is designed to help improve the appearance of dark spots, acne scars, uneven skin tone, discoloration, fine lines, wrinkles, and rough texture. It's basically the low-effort way to look more refreshed, more confident, and a little less worn down. A great way to cover up after a night of bad decisions. If you're trying GIYU for the first time, I'd recommend the Glow Up Bundle. It includes their best-selling toner polishing pads and moisturizer. It's dermatologist tested, trusted by over 650,000 customers, and comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. For a limited time, GIYU is having a crazy deal for our listeners. Their Glow Up Bundle is already already up to 45% off right now, but our listeners can get an additional 20% off plus free shipping with our code MIDAS. That's MEIDAS at GUSkin.com. JIYUSkin.com. That's JIYUSkin.com and use code MIDAS, MEIDAS, for an additional 20% off. After you purchase, they will ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
They say that every day your business is late to AI, you fall 2 days behind. But how do you keep up? The competition is only moving faster. Unfortunately, there's NetSuite next. You probably know NetSuite, the AI-powered business management suite that securely connects all of your data. It's a unified suite that brings your financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM into a single source of truth, trusted by over 43,000 customers. NetSuite Next is the next huge leap in how business gets done because AI is built into everything you do. It automatically surfaces custom insights throughout your day. AI agents work alongside you to solve problems and handle routine work. And anytime you have a question about anything, just ask, just like you're having a conversation with a colleague. NetSuite is customized for a wide range of industries, so it supports the way your business truly works. Whether your company earns millions or even hundreds of millions, it's time for NetSuite Next, where your business meets AI. If I need this product, it's what I would use. For the first time ever, you can try NetSuite Next for free. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, go to netsuite.ai/Midas. Built for every industry, ready for every boardroom, netsuite.ai/Midas.
Welcome back. Thank you to our sponsors. They make the show possible. They support the show. Take a look at the discount codes for the sponsors in the description below. I know Jordy works very hard with them to get these discount codes. All right, let's talk about what's just happened in the past hour or so as well. You've got Donald Trump posting and then reposting the following. Afghanistan war, 20 years, 2,000 dead. Iraq war, 9 years, 4,600 dead. Vietnam War, 19 years and 5 months, 58,000 dead. Korean War, 3 years and 1 month, 36,000 dead. Venezuela War, 1 day, 0 dead. Iran military conflict, 4 months, 18 dead. It's very strange and disgusting. 4 months into or 5 months into a catastrophic war that you started, to be posting 18 dead as a number that you brag about. It'd be like saying 2 months into COVID or 1 month into the announcement of COVID, 12 cases, 25 cases, 50 cases. You're doing a brag that 18 dead and 4 months. We're in the middle of the war. Every one of these soldiers who have died is incredibly tragic. And you post it as though 18, that's a win. It's really vile and really disgusting. And you take a look at Afghanistan war, 20 years, 2,000 dead. Iraq war, 9 years, 4,600 dead. Iran is bigger than those countries. It's by population. The outcome of what you're doing in the region also can result in mass casualties, even more than this. You are falling deeper and deeper into this escalation trap. You're out there saying to yourself or saying, we are going to bomb the hell out of them, and that's going to make them do a good deal with us. The one thing that I think Iran, as I noted, is actually trying to avoid, and I think they're being strategic about this, if they wanted to kill a lot more American troops, they could do it right now. They have the capabilities to do it. I think what Iran recognizes, though, and this is part of their strategy, is that if there were to be a mass casualty event, 300 U.S. troops killed rather than, and by the way, we don't even know the true numbers. I'll just say that right now. But I think what Iran recognizes, if there was 300, 500, 1,000 troops killed in a very short period of time, what may become the outcome is that American people may, even if you despise Donald Trump and this regime, would that then make people rally around an escalation of the war in Iran? And would that backfire on? I think Iran has to weigh that. That's part of what it's doing. That's why right now its view is you invade us, you knock down our nuclear facilities, you hit more civilian infrastructure, that's when we'll escalate. But we're not going to escalate because I think Trump, especially when he has the USS Abraham Lincoln and the supercarriers and George H.W. Bush right there in the Strait, Trump is looking for a Gulf of Tonkin type incident in Vietnam. And in Gulf of Tonkin, there was an initial strike, but then the second one was manufactured. And then that was the pretext for Lyndon Johnson to go and get authorization from Congress, basically, to then escalate the invasion, and the Vietnam War really escalated after the Gulf of Tonkin. It's, history repeating itself. So Trump has our tankers as sitting ducks. Iran could strike those aircraft carriers, those supercarriers, easily if it wants to. But Iran's like, we don't want to do that yet. And for Iran, I think it also recognizes strategically time is on its side. U.S. strategic petroleum reserves, tank bottom, depleted, right? You layer on top of that, surgically shutting down Bab el-Mandab to Saudi tankers. You then strike certain refinery capacities in the area. I mean, Iraq has certain refinery capacities shut down. Same thing in Kuwait. Same thing in Bahrain. And Iran, it's okay, CENTCOM's going to strike us from this hour to this hour. Donald Trump's going to do his deranged shtick. We'll strike back here and here. Each day we'll surgically degrade more. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. And the Iranian civilization and the current situation in Iran is built on resistance, revolution. Okay, it's called the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Revolution, resistance, never giving in. That's why there were people in Iran who were critical of ever even agreeing to a deal in the first place, because the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is in revolutionary mode, and that is a resistance to the West mode. So also certainly has its consequences and harm. I'm not trying to act like Iran's like the wealthiest, most thriving place imaginable. The sanctions hurt. Not being able to do deals with the West and other areas hurts. When your main trading partners are limited to some BRICS nations, China and Russia. Russia's got its own issues that it's struggling with, understatement. That is an easy situation, for when you have to look inward always for production, and that ain't easy. So there are tensions in Iran about how do they maintain the revolutionary resistance posture? Do you try to adapt? There is, and there was, of course, in Iran, a festering, growing call, especially among young people, for a new path that was not Ayatollah based. And, but the Ayatollah IRGC have a firm grasp of Iran. It's not a weak grasp. And there were protests in January. Trump said, I'm going to come to your aid. So Trump said, I'm going to save you. I'm going to come to your aid. Because there were people who want there to be more reforms than what the current system looks like. It's also false to portray this civilization as like these are unsophisticated, like cavemen and cavewomen who don't know. This is a very sophisticated society. The way it's done right now and the control by the Islamic Republic is strong. You saw that with respect to the Ayatollah's funeral. There are millions and millions of people who viewed the Ayatollah and view the current as their spiritual leader, not just in Iran, but Iraq and Pakistan, Yemen, and the nearby nations where there are Shiite populations. Look at Pakistan. What, 1/3 of Pakistan Shiite? Their spiritual leader, their pope is the Ayatollah. Trump killed their pope. And even when it comes to the protest, and undoubtedly Iran did kill protesters who were protesting for reforms and protesting for different leadership control. And there's no doubt that Iran killed people. But when Donald Trump does his 40,000, 52,000, just starts making up wild numbers, you don't even know what really happened there. Because Trump very quickly goes up from 40,000 to 52,000. And then you start to say, are you just making up numbers? What's the real number, actually? I know there were people killed, but is the number closer to 3,000 and 4,000 and you've just made up 42, 45, 50,000? Why do you just, and now, wait a minute. I'm trusting the guy who tells me that the reflecting pool was destroyed by vandals. $19.2 trillion was brought in. And that's where this 52,000 number is coming from. And then you pull back and you go, what? The president of the United States is posting AI images of the people, of the ladies. He's saying you're posting AI images that say stop killing us, of Iranian women with AI tears. If anything, this seems to be a message directed at Donald Trump, saying stop killing the girls, stop killing the women, stop killing the children in Manab. That's what the stop killing us seems to be. If you want to see what the Iranian streets look like right now, if you want to see what the billboards are right there, Iran's been putting up billboards of Ivanka. And this is the one right here. Hey, terrorists, get ready to die. You see billboards like this all over Iran right now. There are ones of Ivanka and Barron and the Trump family, billboards like this. There are a bunch of billboards, that are going up everywhere with messages. This is the one, Ivanka, Melania, and Barron, that says, hey, terrorists, get ready to die. And take a look at the streets. I mean, if you look at what Iran looks like, if you look at Bandar Abbas, where the U.S. keeps on attacking, Bandar Abbas looks beautiful. Blue water, coastal city, the day-to-day in Bandar Abbas. It's not what the propaganda actually shows what Bandar Abbas looks like. You look in Tehran, and you would, based on what we're told here, you would think Tehran looks like what certain areas in Saudi Arabia look like, with the Sunni women who wear the full hijab and who are, you would think, and the women aren't driving and all of that. You go look at Iran and you saw the World Cup and you saw what's going on there in the, on a day-to-day, and what's going on in the malls and what's happening there. And I'm not suggesting that it's this, Western, short dresses. It's certainly not that. There's certainly headscarves that are being worn, but you take a look at it. We just need to understand what's going on in the world, and we need to stop with this propaganda out there that demonizes for the sake of what Trump really wants to do here, which is just take people's oil and conquer. And we're loitering above you. We're going to destroy you from above. And I want to talk more about what others aren't talking about in Venezuela, because what Trump said to me raises a lot more red flags today. And I've been saying this. And again, I'm not going down the rabbit hole of making the link and saying, it's because of the U.S. drilling and the fracking and all of the kind of sudden shock by the U.S. going into the dirt and deep in the dirt. I don't know. I don't have the data. So when I don't know, I say I don't know. Tell you what I do know. We do know that fracking and other certain types of drilling are known to cause certain seismic geological events. We do know that a foreshock aftershock that took place in Venezuela is incredibly rare, right? Normally you have the earthquake, then you have aftershocks thereafter, and then it kind of wanes. Okay? But here we had the foreshock 7.1, the aftershock, boom, right after each other. And that pattern is statistically not something that often happens. And no one's even asking the question. And what I found fascinating was in Donald Trump's press conference when he had the president of Lebanon by his side today, is I want you to watch what he said. First, he says, we took over Venezuela. We took their oil. We conquered them. We took their oil. Let me play you this one first. Let's play it.
I think people are very impressed. I mean, we took over Venezuela. We now have a great relationship with Venezuela. We went to war with Venezuela, and the war ended in one day. And we have now an incredible relationship with Venezuela. We're taking out millions of barrels of oil. They're making more money now than they ever made before, ever.
Who's the they? Have you spoken to Venezuelan people? Have you asked the people in Venezuela, hey, you happy right now under Delcy? How's it going right now with thousands dead and tens of thousands missing? Y'all are happy there in Venezuela right now? Now we know that Delcy gave medals to the Trump search and rescue teams that were there. It seemed like there was more time being spent on awarding themselves stuffs and medals and press conference than doing immediate urgent search and rescue. I'm sure there were search and rescue people who were there with good intentions and deserve to be applauded, but do we need to give them medals right away during, I mean, like right after a horrific event? I mean, within days you start giving them medals while there are bodies that are there, they're getting medals. I don't think that's the time. But notice what Trump says here when he says, and he talks about it, Venezuela is a happy place. They had a tragic event that took place a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago. Doesn't even know when it happened. They had a movement, a shifting of earth that was unbelievable. I guess you would call it an earthquake. I guess you would call it an earthquake. What do you call it? A shifting of the earth? Here, play this clip.
Very closely with the administration, and we get along very well. Venezuela is a very happy place. I had a tragic incident with the, with the event that took place a couple of days ago, a week ago. What a terrible thing that was. They had a movement, a shifting of earth that was unbelievable. They've never seen anything like it. A lot of people were killed. So it's all unrelated. But by the way, we were the first ones there to help. We were there to help Venezuela. It was an earthquake, I guess you'd call it. It was a pretty massive earthquake. And we were able to do a lot of good. But they lost a lot of people. Venezuela, the people are so happy that we're there. The jobs, everything's happening. And we're taking out many, many times the money that we spent on the war. This one...
It was unrelated, he said. Unrelated to the drilling. Who would even bring that up? Unless that's a thought. I mean, again, why would you even bring up that the earthquakes are unrelated to the drilling and fracking if there wasn't a discussion even going on about that, about what happened? It was unrelated, of course. That to me, and you may disagree, seems like a guilty conscience. Well, there's no guilt when it comes to him. It seems like a Freudian slip, or Freudian conscience, I should say. That guy's not guilty, doesn't feel guilty about anything. He just lets it spew sometimes. I think, and I know it's, I don't know if it's not the right thing to criticize people getting medals right afterwards. I don't know, is it too soon for me to be critical of it? I just don't. I personally don't believe you start awarding yourself things while there are bodies in the ground that were not rescued, but that's me. And I think there are not questions being asked about what's going on there. Where's this money going? It's not going to the people. Was there any causal relation here? At the MeidasTouch Network, when I say I don't know things, I say I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know. Okay? I may be very wrong. I just think that my spidey sense, the sense that I used in founding this network, in thinking critically about issues before, whether it was the Epstein files or other things early on, my spidey sense is saying, look more into that. Look more into that. By the way, WTF America is the book. Pre-order it right now. It really helps if you pre-order. Can you do me a favor too? Put in the comments WTF if you've pre-ordered it, but don't lie. Really only put WTF if you've actually pre-ordered, if you really pre-order, or if you will pre-order it today, do WTF in the comments. All right, let's take our last quick break of the show. If we can, let's do a break.
After checking how much I spent eating out last month, I was honestly shocked. Switching to Home Chef has been a game changer. Home Chef has even worked with renowned chefs like Gordon Ramsay to bring restaurant quality recipes straight to your kitchen. So not only am I saving money, but I'm also cooking meals that feel like I have a personal chef at home. Home Chef makes cooking simple, fresh food delivered, easy recipes to follow, and meals that actually taste great. Take the stress out of your week with convenient weekly deliveries that keep your fridge stocked and eliminate meal planning and grocery runs. No long shopping lists, no complicated prep, and best of all, easy cleanup. It's perfect for busy schedules. Whether you need a 30-minute meal, an oven-ready tray, or even a quick microwave lunch, Home Chef has you covered. And it's not one size fits all. Home Chef has over 30 meal options each week with choices for different tastes and dietary needs, including calorie-conscious and even GLP-1 friendly meals. Home Chef's GLP-1 friendly meals also make it easy with pre-portioned ingredients and dietitian-approved nutritional guidelines. They're packed with protein and rich in fiber to help promote fullness, appetite regulation, and blood sugar stability without compromising the variety and flavor. And people really love it. Home Chef is rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. I love their beef asparagus risotto. It's delicious. You have to try it today. Customers say they spend less time planning, shopping, and prepping meals. Plus, it's affordable. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering my listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box plus free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/Meidas. That's homechef.com/Meidas for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/Meidas. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. My old wallet was this giant crusty leather brick that was falling apart. My back even started to hurt because I was sitting so uneven. Ridge has a unique, slim, modern design that holds up to 12 cards plus cash. It's made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber, and has over 50 plus colors and styles to choose from. All Ridge products have a lifetime warranty. This is literally the last wallet you'll ever have to buy. It gives me peace of mind knowing that all Ridge wallets have RFID blocking technology. It keeps me safe from digital pickpocketers and just puts my mind at ease. And Ridge has over 100,000 5-star reviews. Ridge isn't just about wallets. They create premium everyday carry essentials like power banks, key cases, suitcases, and rings, all built with the same sleek, durable design. No matter what you pick, Ridge has free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all their products. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off at Ridge by using code Meidas at checkout. Just head to ridge.com and use code Meidas, and you're all set. After your purchase, they'll ask how you found out about them. Please support our show. Let them know that MeidasTouch sent you.
Welcome back. Great ad reads, Jordy. Thank you to our sponsors who make this show possible. You know, what I try to do in WTF America, I don't hold, I'm not like holding information back on the show. So let me, how like lots of books, they hold the information and it's like, well, here's what I've been waiting to share. I've never held anything back. But what it is, WTF America, and why I want the title to punch like WTF, is I really want it to be this kind of enduring snapshot of where we are right now. I want it to convey a philosophy that we talk about here. When I say we, I include you in that. I mean, it's the Midas Mighty philosophy. And notice that on a lot of the episodes that I do, I rarely am getting in the weeds of the gamification of politics. It doesn't mean I don't care about the day-to-day happenings in a primary race or a specific election. But to me, the project that we're all engaged in here is not simply one election or two elections or being reactive to that type of mindset. To me, it is more fundamental, and it is how do we generationally get out of a death loop that has saddled us with debt, with death, and with these dire conditions that people are feeling, because those feelings can either bring us in a direction of fascism and strong men, I alone can fix it, and scapegoating and easy solutions, or blaming people for complex situations, bullying, corrosiveness, further destruction. The situation can allow the very people who have caused the situation to be the wolves in sheep clothing, saying that they're the ones who are going to help. Or we can get out of this together, not just in a single election cycle, but I think as we saw after Trump won, it was very easy with oligarch-run media, with disinformation, with lots of right-wing money, trillions of dollars being put into this, to blame the firefighters for the damage that the arsonists did. So what I often talk about here is values and principles. It never shocks me when a politician lets us down. I come to expect it. I don't have a lot of, I don't put my chips, my proverbial chips, with a politician. That doesn't mean I don't think certain politicians are inspiring or do a good job or have good ideas on certain things. But if you focus so much on the personality, the persona, you will wind up in many ways how we got here. Instead, what I argue, and what I always argue, is that we need to very clearly articulate our values and our principles as these threshold matters. We need to take a step back and ask more basic questions about what is the point of government and governance. Is the goal to create dystopian reality shows that make us all non-consensual extras that are inflicted with new traumas every day, and that we feel like we're living in a constant escape room? Is that the goal of government? I hope not. For any political part, I hope that's not what government is. What I believe it should be is something that makes lives better, that provides services, that protects basic human rights and equality, and that does not intrude and intervene in our personal lives, in our bedrooms, in our private decision making, and that they stay out. I find it interesting when Donald Trump, again, just like in the Venezuela clip that I showed you, where it's unrelated, we're doing a lot of drilling, but it's totally unrelated. When you study the patterns, when you study how he speaks, the types of things that he says, there's often a lot of confession and projection, right? So when he says, I would be the greatest communist ever, like Lenin, he says, like Lenin, that's what he calls Lenin, because he says, I would promise you all of these things. This is free, that's free, and then I would never have to deliver those things. And you think about the Trump regime and what they do, I think that his behavior more closely resembles the typical communist leadership, in my opinion, than any other example out there. What's more Stalin? What's more Lenin than the way Donald Trump behaves? He takes over control of the methods and means of productions of companies. He hoists up a VIP class who gets subsidized and get benefits. And it's basically a welfare system for billionaires who are part of his clique while everybody else suffers. He promises, I will make your life so much better. Electricity prices will be down 50% on day one. Groceries will go down on day one. Inflation will go down immediately. Gas prices will be lower immediately, less than $2 a gallon. I will be able to fix it all. I've brought in Doge dividend checks. I mean, just think about it. The idea of a Doge dividend check, which again is a lie. The government is going to seize apparatus, create its own Politburo, and then hand out money and dole out to people that it views as more worthy of it. But I will give you $5,000 each, Doge dividend checks. That never happened. There will be this gold in Fort Knox that we will give you. We'll give you gold from Fort Knox, and people will get very rich. Tariff rebate checks. We will give you these tariff rebate checks. You're going to get so much money. You're going to make so much money. I mean, heck, even something that I think could be a good thing. Sometimes people ask, Ben, is there anything you think that could be good? I like the idea of no tax on tips. I like, however, you need to get tips. Hospitality is down. So the people who that's supposed to help more than anyone are out of jobs. And then when you actually look at the no tax on tips, it's qualified by all of these things that when the deduction is actually implemented, it doesn't anyway come close to offsetting the wealth shift from the people to the very rich people. It is a fugazi. It is the smoke and mirrors to actually pickpocket from those people to give it to the preferred class. Now, what the Trump regime, and again, this is why I set out the philosophy in WTF America, because we need to understand, we need to think this way, in my view, more than just, oh, you know what, this person in this primary and this person said this about this person, and so that person responded to this person, and this person responded, and I don't like that person, and this person, and this person, and that person. I want to step back and say, what are we looking for in politicians? What are we looking for our government to achieve? Be very wary of labels. Be very wary of slogans. You'll often find they're empty. You'll often find that they are tools for manipulation and fraud. Trump recognizes that. That's why his view of the American dream is something to dangle and never deliver on. But to me, I want to see the actions. I want to see what the person is actually doing here. What are you doing? How are you helping? Are you truly helping? Did we really bring in $19.1 trillion? Of course we didn't. How could we be $3.5 trillion more in debt this year and it's only July if we brought in $19.1 trillion? If the overall economy is $32 trillion, you're saying that only 11 million is consumption? That doesn't make any sense. So then you said, oh, wait a minute, this is all one big fraud. This whole number is made up. Everything is a fraud. Everything is a fake. We have to step out of that. And we have to align the interests of the people and make our voices heard more profoundly, louder, and not chase any specific politician. Anyway, that's what I think is really important, in this moment, because when you're rooted in values and principles. And, it's frankly why I don't like, I don't like these, silly debates where another person's living in an alternate reality and they've got their talking points. Well, what about Biden? It's like, dude, just shut up. What? Are you truly happy with the never-ending war in Iran? You really think that they're obliterated right now? You think that that's what's going on? You're happy about the way this is being handled? You're happy with the way this is being handled? You can't call out the genocide that's taking place in Gaza. Everything to you has to be rooted in some political slogan that you can't just recognize as a human being, that there are so many innocent people being killed. And mothers and children, and and mothers and children and fathers and not just killed but maimed. Like you can't even, as a human, everything to you has to be through some political prism of gotcha this, gotcha that you can't take a step back and just be a human being and say this is wrong. You can't do that. You can't look at the bombings by Israel in Lebanon and say that's wrong in residential areas, and that that's unacceptable, and that's not okay. You can't look at Donald Trump blowing up a hospital in elementary school in Manab and killing little girls, and you can't just be like that's horrible and that's wrong. And one of the hard things for me is, those are our taxpayer dollars, right? If you gave money to a murderer to buy a gun and that person killed people, you'd feel responsible. So doesn't it follow that if our taxpayer dollars, rather than going to help Americans live thriving lives, are going to trillions of dollars to Pete Hegseth's War Department to kill people, that we're reluctantly, we don't want to be involved in this, but we're complicit also. Do you want to be complicit in these things? I don't want to be complicit in these things, but that's our taxpayer dollars are going to that. And I don't know, this isn't a talking point. This isn't, and therefore I want you to don't, no, this is a true feeling of pain and sadness. And I don't to say I don't like that. It is something we need to really get out of, and we need to fundamentally rethink. Not in an election cycle. It's not an election book, WTF. It's not a let's just get out. It's not. It is step back. Think. What are we doing here with our lives? What is the point of living? what is the point? What is the point of making sure that future generations have a better place? I mean, is the purpose of the short time we're here take, die? I mean, you look at Lindsey Graham's life, and death. I mean, what was you were born? You then went to work on Capitol Hill, and then you spent your time encouraging people to kill people with a bloodthirst, and then Donald J. Trump, and then you're dead. You're dead. That's the point of being alive. That's the point of your existence. You're dead now, Lindsay. That was all worth it? Being alone at Disney with a bubble machine alone? While having this weird look on your face about murdering children? You're dead now. And the devices in our hand, the algorithms, the loud echo chain, the loud whatever. I want MeidasTouch. I want this network. I want ultimately the book to be like, frankly, what I want people to remember what I did here for. I want to be remembered as a good father. I want to be remembered as a good husband. I want to be remembered as someone who made mistakes, but was nice and kind, more than nice, was kind, was empathetic, was someone who fought for people who were being bullied. But more directionally than just even the MeidasTouch network, I want to be remembered for helping to build a community and a rethinking of just honestly our shared humanity, and even just for a moment to reflect and think, why are you talking about this? What are we doing on a day-to-day basis? We need to recalibrate. We need to recalibrate the North Star and be on that direction, as opposed to chasing this politician or that politician, or this political game or that political game, or this specific campaign or that specific game. Where your values align with the political party, that's great. But find them who represent your values and who are willing to fight against the other values, the non-values, the hate. Who's going to be a better fighter? And how do you harness the power of you not giving in, you not submitting? So anyway, I guess I just spent the last segment giving. Well, I want you to be able to read, but that's a lot of what I think we need to be focused on, even more than just the day-to-day. That's what I think about. I of course have to do the daily videos and the daily hits, but that to me is a broader thing that I'll leave you with today. So on that note, thank you. Pre-order it. Put WTF in the chat if you truly pre-ordered it, but don't be truthful. Only if you actually have. And I wonder if I know the economy is very difficult right now for most Americans. I wonder, and you tell me what you think in the chat. If there are people who have the ability, I wonder if there's a way to do like 10 books and then I generally don't know if the book publishing company can do that and then give out the books, or figure out a way to do that. I don't know. I'll think my brothers may be like, you can't do that. That's not a thing. I don't know. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. I'm going to cover the Hegseth hearing in a little bit as well. So make sure you check back. I'll probably drop that video around 4:30. Got a little sentimental on this episode, I got to tell you. But I'm glad we shared it together. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Scan the QR code above. Have a good one, everybody. We appreciate you.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.